Hi, I'm Caroline Goulard. I created 2 companies in the field of data visualization. For more than 10 years, I've been building bridges between human and data, and I'm very happy to be with you today for this new session of The Bridge. The Bridge is Artefact media that makes data and artificial intelligence understandable for all. And I'm with Julien Ho-Tong today. Julien, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. Julien, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Julien. I'm a partner at Artefact. I basically work with clients in their business and AI or data transformation. I've been working for the past 13 years now on energy utilities, manufacturing, CPG, luxury industries. So yeah.
I've heard you're an expert in data governance. Can you explain to us what is data governance, as if we were complete beginners, as if we were children?
So we can see data as the goal of your company, okay? And your company might produce or use data on a daily basis. It's just about having this data this data available with the right level of security, of integrity, of completeness for any kind of users.
So why is it so important?
I think it's important in many ways. We know from benchmarks that the bad data that you could have in your company could impact revenue up to 30%, which is quite a lot. It could vary in function if you're working in an industry or another, or with a specific business, but it does impact a lot. You could, as an example, if you take bad decisions because you didn't take the right data and you spent a lot of time to find this data and it wasn't the right source, you could see that the impact is huge. So you spent a lot of time just to take a bad decision. So it's all about having these things sorted out to make sure that you take the right decisions based on the right data.
All right, so let me be like a child again. So how does it happen? Why does company have bad data?
So it is a good question. I think there's not so many companies that say, I have to launch an amazing and a big data transformation program just focused on data governance. I think it comes from, it happened already. So I see that my data is of what quality, it impacts my efficiency, it impacts my revenue, so I have to do something. So the starting point would be, it already happened. I think most of the company, this is that, because working on data is something quite new. I think people have been considering data as something we need to focus on for the past 10 years, I would say, not so much more. So it starts from a pain point. It hurts. So based on that, what could we do? What I see is 2 different ways to do that. The first is, of course, to launch a data strategy initiative. So you start defining your data and AI strategy, then you have to work on your organization, then you work on your governance, how you should govern your processes, and on the tech that is behind. That is a way to do that. Another way is a little bit more pragmatic, and I think when you want to test and learn to make sure if you need to work on data governance, it's to start on something way much smaller. So you take a usage. For instance, I need a dashboard to check the performance of my products in Germany, for instance. So the end product that you will have in between your hands is a dashboard, for instance, super neat, super simple. Based on that, you will need to work on the processes behind. You will need to make sure that you have the data available, so the different source of data you need to treat, how you will aggregate that, how you will transform, how you will expose this data in your dashboard. Then you will need people to make that happen. So from the people that would produce this data, people who will work on this data, and the people who will expose this data. So you have your dashboard at the end of the day, but you see that you need processes, you need data, you need people, and you need the tech. So it is a good way to start a governance initiative, focusing on one very clear usage to see all the impact you will have. People, process, tools, tech, everything. And when you are making sure that it is a value, which it is, you can start something a little bit bigger. I think most of the company have been working with in the past few years. They wanted to start in a small scope. Sometimes it was maybe on products, on customers, suppliers, employees. It can be like different data domain. But starting small, show the value or the impact it has, and then you scale it in the company.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It looks like open data, but internal at the enterprise. Like, yeah, data that has been produced for economics can be used by people who are working on some other subjects, and so that's really great. But whose job is that? Is it someone's job to break the silos everywhere, or is it more like a bit of everyone's job in the company?
It's a bit of everyone's job in the company, starting from the top management. If the top management is not spreading out the culture around data and having good data, you might have a problem, because if you don't have their sponsorship in the first place, you won't have like the effort or the bandwidth to give to the team to work on that. So this is the first thing. You need to have a top management that is convinced and have data governance or data quality or data strategy initiative in their roadmap. This is the first thing. Then, as you said, it is everybody's job. If I take again the example of the product, you see that you have different people in different parts of the company that will have a role. As long as you produce data or you consume data or you make sure that the data is of quality, you will have a role. So again, data governance will have a governance, an organization pillar, a process pillar, and a tech pillar. So it is everybody's role, and you need to define, when you work on your data governance, you need to define the role and responsibility all around these processes, yes, the end-to-end process.
Right, we haven't talked that much about tools. What kind of tools are we talking about here?
This is a question I have a lot. First, I don't think data governance is directly linked to tools. Thinking that having like a top-notch tool will solve all your data governance, this is not that. First, you need to work on the processes, the business part, and the people. Having said that, of course, there are tools to work to make sure that the rules that you have created or the data that you are spreading across the company are correct and monitored. You have tools like data cataloging tools or data monitoring tools. You have several things. But this is the end of the journey, because if you put bad data in your tool, we always say garbage in, garbage out. Okay, it's the same rule all over the process, all over the end-to-end process of a data. So whether you're talking about data cataloging or data quality or master data management, you have a lot of tools. They all do amazing things. But it's all about making sure that you take into account the first part first, so the business part first. Second, the existing ecosystem. This is not about plugging any kind of tool in your ecosystem. Sometimes it will be complicated to integrate that. So you need to make sure what I have today, is this tool going to answer my business needs or my IT needs or my data needs? You need to make sure it answers proper needs. I would say that the last thing and the most important thing about the tools that you're going to say, whether it is a data quality or something else, it's how you're going to train the people and show them how it works. You can't expect to roll out a new tool, whatever it is, and people to be super efficient on that and have like a 30% increase of your efficiency. It's not happening this way. A good example, you've all heard about generative AI, of course. You all maybe heard about Copilot, which is like the new tool from Microsoft to help you be more efficient on PowerPoint, Excel, and so on. A lot of companies are considering rolling out Copilot at the moment, but not all of them are thinking about how I'm going to make sure that the people are going to use it in the proper way or just going to show them how it works. These are new tools. You can't expect anyone to just crack it in a day. So yes, the tech is important, but first for what needs I'm going to deploy this tech and how I'm going to make sure that the people are going to use it the proper way and they are not just alone like that.
All right, but can you give us some examples of data governance tools? Anyway.
there are many tools on the market that you could that could fit your needs. On data cataloging, for instance, we have Data Galaxy, we have Collibra, we have Open Metadata. They are all amazing tools. It just depends, again, on your tech ecosystem, how you want to integrate that, what's happening. There is a lot of things also with knowledge sharing. If you want to make sure that the rules you have defined or the list of attributes you have defined can be shared and understood by everyone. Of course, you can do that on the solution that I have given. You have amazing things that you could do with Jira, with Confluence. You have great things like this. On master data management, all the tools to manage the referential data or the master data, like Stibo System, like Informatica, like TIBCO, Samarchi, they're good also with that. And they have mechanism to make sure your data is of quality. So for instance, making sure that you don't have duplicates. They have rules that you can set to make sure that if I have a conflict between two customers or two products, it might be this one that might be the right one. So you have these kind of things happening. So yeah, that would be, I would start with these ones.
We've been talking about data quality a lot, but is there also something connected to regulation? I guess GDPR or some other regulation may have changed a bit what we call data governance.
And I think this we are right in the middle of that. I think, remember, we all got slapped in the face with GDPR in 2016. It was released in 16 and it was enforced in 18, I think, as far as I remember. So it was basically on the customer data where we had a lot of standards to respect and to make sure that it was compliant in our systems. In 23, the AI Act was released, and now we have a year and a half to make sure that it's going to be enforced in 1 year and a half now in 25. So we have to make sure that all our systems are compliant with these rules, as it used to be with GDPR. So it is a perfect link to data governance. If data governance is making sure that the data you produce and consume have rule sets and that the right people can have access to them or not. And you need to set these rules when you do your data governance. For instance, if I take the product data domain, for instance, you have product with a description, a name, you have some things about traceability. And if tomorrow in the AI Act, it says that you need these controls to be enforced in your product database, that you have these rules set in it, because and it will have an impact on the way people will use them, and to make sure that they don't use them in the wrong way, that you could have some issues at the end of the day. So it is very linked to data governance, having these compliance or ethics or whatever rules set in your data model and data catalog before being used by the users.
Right, looks like something it takes some time, so it's real investment and you have to do it because of those regulations, but is there also a way to make the most out of it? So if I'm the best in terms of data governance, will I be advantaged in something or some other?
I don't think there are so many companies that are way ahead in terms of data governance at the moment. Levels of maturity can vary, but I've never heard about a company where all the data are completely perfect. All the rules are set, super compliant with any rules. So it's not the case at the moment. However, taking too much time to have these data in line with either your regulations or your own standards, yes, it will have an impact on your time to market. It will have an impact to the way you're going to sell. If your products are less complete, for instance, or less precise, the client is more likely, it will more likely get another one from the competitor, for instance. It's about your brand image also, of course. So it has so many impacts, not only on the product or the services that you sell, on the brand, the company image, and so on.
so what's the good reason to spend more time on data governance?
The good reason would be first that not having proper data governance costs a lot of money. It impacts your people. Again, a good example. So you want to make sure that the product, you're gonna make a dashboard about a product and you have the correct data about this product. For instance, a dashboard about the performance of the products. You will spend so much time trying to find sometimes the right data to put in your dashboard if it's not already automatized. So the time you spend finding your right data, the time you spend asking to the right people, and maybe there's not the right people in the company, it's a lot of time, so it's a lot of money. And then eventually you're gonna take a decision based on incorrect data. So it has a huge impact also. And today, a lot of data companies are taking decisions based on incorrect or very fuzzy data. I don't know any CEOs I've asked this question who told me I have 100% trust in the decision I make, based on the data I have. But it's normal. We're still like in a phase where we're realizing these things. I think people have realized that, and top management have realized that. Now it's about launching this transformation program. And these are transformation programs when you work on data governance. It's a company-wide transformation program. It's going to mobilize a lot of people. It's going to mobilize business, IT, data people, so the whole company. So this is why you can't just launch something so big, except if you've seen that there is a big interest to do that. You need to start small again. Show how it works. You need to try to fail fast if it fails, and maybe start something else or try something else. But it works. But you just need to make sure how you're going to make that progress with the culture of your company, and it is a transformation. Yeah.
Is there some big names who are well known to be in this fourth category?
Of course, all the major SaaS company or the big GAFA, of course, they're known about having good data, but they also have some pain points. Everything is not perfect. But of course, when you take Amazon, for instance, for e-commerce, it is state of the art, and a lot of companies doing e-commerce try to get inspiration from this kind of model. But this is a very specific case. I wouldn't say that when you do when you are a product manufacturer where you have so many data, you are buying things from suppliers, you are adding things on your end, and then you're selling. This is where it gets tricky because there are so many intermediaries in your process or a value chain. It gets so complicated to have a good majority of data. Most of them are in the level 2. Then they know they have incorrect data, they know what hurts, and they are in progress to launch a transformation program about data governance.
How fast are they moving from step 2 to step 3?
Once again, it depends on the business, of the size of the company, but data governance initiatives these are a midterm or long-term initiative. You can quickly prove the value. I think you should prove the value of data governance working on a small scope or on the first data domain, for instance, in a few months. I think within 6 months, 3 to 6 months, you can prove the value of data governance. Having the data governance completely spread it out in the companies on all your data domain, it takes years. But again, you don't need all these things to be perfectly square to make sure that your business is running perfectly. Again, you need to focus on where it hurts and where you're going to get the most value, and maybe there are all other data domains that could be kept for a little bit later.
And so, can you describe a classic example of data governance project? What's the step? How does it work? Who's involved?
So usually when we have to go, and usually it is from the top management, so in the C-suite, whether it is the chief data officer, chief digital officer, it could be the CIO, information, it could be any other person in marketing, whatever, but the first thing is to have a C-suite sponsorship. Once we have done that, you need roles, of course, in the company. So sometimes these roles are not in place yet because they didn't start any data governance initiative. So maybe data governance is a mix between something that is very IT working maybe on the data management part, or maybe this is something a little bit more business, but there is not this link. So the first thing is to make sure, do I have the roles internally to work on that? And you will need a role that will make business, IT, and data work together. It's not so important if this person is more business or more IT. You need someone that can make that happen. So I would say it is more someone that is very collaborative and can like move the people. This is the first thing. You need someone that that you can follow. This is the first thing to have. Then, of course, you will need to be very sure about who you will mobilize. So if you start with a small scope on product, for instance, and you will need people from R&D, from marketing, from sales, you need to have stakeholders in all these different service lines. This is the first thing. You will need IT also to make sure that at the end of the day, once these processes and these data governance principles are in place, it will live in systems. So how do I make sure that I have the proper person who can talk, they know about what's happening in the referentials, in the ERPs, in your CRM. You need this person too. So if I recap, strong sponsorship in the C-suite, you need someone that knows how to make all these people work together, all these teams work together. And then you will need to have precise stakeholders in all the different entities you will need to work with.
And so what are the steps now?
So the first thing is to know what's happening already. So it would be to do what I like to call an as-is assessment. So what are the usage? What is the culture? What are the people? What are they doing? What are the common pain points? Once again, to be pragmatic, you need to make sure where it hurts, where you need to focus on. So the first step is making sure where it hurts and what you do at the moment. The second step is to think about the target. So tomorrow, if I want to have a proper data governance on my products, if I want to start with products, so yeah, what are the roles that I'm missing that I don't have today? What are the roles that I have, but I don't exactly do the proper things? What are the processes and what are the data life cycles under my products? What are the data quality metrics I need to put in place to make sure the data is of quality? What is the architecture in terms of IT, in terms of data, and what is the change management I need to foresee to make sure that all that happens? So the second step is basically building the target or a target operating model around the governance. It is all these steps: process, people, tech, culture. It's all these steps. And the third thing is then to make sure that it happens. So you need to roll that out. Okay. So once again, if the usage you have shortlisted or prioritized is having this product performance dashboard, you need to put that in place. So you will, of course, build a super nice dashboard, but you will make all these things in motion. So the processes, the people, you will see things are lacking, things are not working so properly because we missed something. And it's normal. You can't have like a full 100% thing that is working at day one. You will fail at some point. But this is a very iterative process. So one, you know where it hurts. Two, you build a target. Three, you roll it out with a very pragmatic use case. And you learn about what's not working. And then you redo on another use case or you redo it on another data domain.
All right, and how do you see this field evolving in the coming years? Do you see there are some new trends, some new innovation?
So first, I think it's going to be, once this data governance, the data governance is in place, it is a continuous process. You will keep working on that as much as your product or service is going to evolve, the standards, the guidelines, the compliance is going to evolve, the tech is going to evolve. I have a very concrete example at the moment where we are trying to enrich the product data with GenAI in your product referential, which is a master data management referential. So you have roles that are in this tool, but you can, for instance, if you have some attributes that have to follow a very strict rule, for instance, I need this attributes to be a description in 135 characters. It could take a lot of time, to enter that and to respect this kind of length in terms of words. Using GenAI is perfect for that. So how do you make sure that you embed GenAI in your data governance could be a good way to do that. Or when you have some definitions that are not filled out already about an attributes, you could use GenAI also for your data catalog to propose a few things. I think data governance will be more and more a topic on which the companies are going to focus on, because they know these are the prerequisites to activate something way much more bigger. When you want to have like AI factories or data platform, you need data governance in place. The second thing is generative AI is going to also revolutionize the data governance part to enrich your data, generate some attributes that are not yet, or when you need to respect a very strict guideline for an attribute, like in terms of length, for instance, you could use GenAI. When you want to generate an image for a product that is missing, you could use GenAI also. So embedding GenAI in your data governance or master data management is something that is happening already. I'm working on these kind of things at the moment for an electronic product manufacturer. And I would say that, yeah, more and more companies will launch that, and they are still already doing that, because, as I said, people are, like CEOs are conscious about the disquality of data. So now we need to do something. We can't allow that to lose so much efficiency, so much money on bad data. So it's going to be more and more something to activate, something more complex. If you want to do AI today, everybody can do that, but you will most probably have an AI that is not scalable, or maybe in silos, as you said. If you want to have an AI that is industrialized at scale, you will need data governance in place. Otherwise, you will continuously try to rework the data that is incorrect.
To conclude, do you have some recommendation, like a book, a talk, an article that we can read to dig further in this topic?
On top of maybe literature, this is about realizing, I think. Do you realize the cost of having bad data in your company, I would say? And then, of course, there are many good books about data governance or data management. And there's the DAMA book that is pretty well known. But I think this is, once again, you will spend quite a lot of time to read it. It's pretty big. You need to make sure what you want to do align in your company strategy, and to be aware of how much efficiency you lose with with the bad data. I need to make sure what you want to do next.
Julien, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you very soon for a new interview.